What is up, guys? CJ here, and I'm bringing you an NFL Week 11 podcast. You know what, guys? Sorry, I was a little later in the week. Actually, normally I do this with my buddy T, but he actually came down with a pretty bad, I guess, flu-like cold. He was trying to shake it off, but he was just like, "Hey, man, you know what? We tried to push it back a day or two, and he wasn't up to it, wasn't feeling up to it. So T, hoping to that you feel better soon, and hoping that you get back on it, man, because we need you here next week for week 12. But separately from that, what I'm gonna do for you guys this week, I'm gonna go over all the games. He did give me, by the way, who he likes for this week, so I will definitely let you guys know as I'm going through the games who he gave as a spot that he really likes this week. He's already laid some down on it, and he's probably going to lay a lot more down on it. He just likes to wait for the injury reports, kind of like I do Friday, Saturday. So let's start it off with I'm going to give you guys we're going to do the one solo today, so it might be a little bit shorter. We're still going through them. So we're going to start off with first game, man, on the board. Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears, and we have the Packers laying 5.5 at Soldier Field, division game. The Bears have been playing horrible. The Bears have not been playing well. They just fired their offensive coordinator. And this line is really, really high. Typically, when somebody gets fired, like a head coach, I like to play on them. In this situation, because the Bears, it's an offensive coordinator, and I'm not a fan of Eberflus over there. I just have to say that because I'm not a fan of Eberflus, the 5.5 might be correct in this spot. I think the line is about what it should be. I think the Bears, their offense is pitiful. The Packers, after that beatdown that they took from the Lions 2 weeks ago in that big game, coming off of this bye week, I think should be ready. Jordan Love should be a lot more healthier. If anything, if it's under 6 points, I think there's slight value on Green Bay. It's still scary to take a road dog division game, mind you. Will I be surprised if the Bears win the game outright? No, but I do think the Packers are ready for this game. You guys got to remember they're coming off of that bye week and coming into this game hot like that, or not hot like that, hot off the bye week, I should say. But line's about right. Over unders 40. That line's about right. There's not a ton of value in that one. Um, it's better to sit and watch, and I don't know if I can put my hard-earned money on the Bears just because of all the shit show that's been going on there, and to really lay it on the Packers is not easy. So we're gonna go to the next game. New Orleans Saints and Cleveland Browns will be at the New Orleans Saints. Um, Lions a pick 'em. This is a It's the best way to put this game. This is a revenge, not really revenge, but kind of revenge game for Jameis, who was playing for New Orleans and then got shipped out to the Browns. They went with Derek Carr. Good choice, New Orleans. Not sure if Jameis would have been better, but let's be real. I think, I don't know. You guys kind of know what I think about Derek Carr, and I don't think he can take a team to the promised land. That's just my opinion. The line being a pick in New Orleans. New Orleans coming off of that big game where they beat Atlanta. Are they due for some regression in a letdown spot? Maybe, right? But I would say that Stefanski's job is on the line here against the Saints. I think um, Stefanski and the Browns are playing for jobs at this point because they're 2-7 on the season, as is for New Orleans, right? So there's going to be two desperate teams going at it with each other. There's a nice little, because New Orleans gives up a lot of rushing yards. I do see Nick Chubb possibly having a good game. I don't know if you guys are into player props, but I can see Nick Chubb having a good rushing day. Not sure exactly what the props on him are. I don't do personally too many props, but I do believe that there's some value in them if you really look at them. I'm more of a spreads, totals guy. Once in a while, I'll look at some player props if I like a game, if I kind of think how a game's going to go, and then I can kind of like put it into fruition out there. But being out of pick, ugly game. I can see there being a letdown spot for New Orleans, but then again, two desperate teams. You're going to be at New Orleans playing in that dome. It's not going to be an easy place for famous James to go back. So we'll see what happens in that one, guys. But I think that line, excuse me, I think that line is about right. And New Orleans with Cleveland coming off of that bye last week. Let's see what they're gonna do this week off of that bye. See if anything's changed, huh? Next game we're gonna go to the Rams and the Patriots. Rams playing at the Patriots. Rams are laying 4.5 in this one. To me, that seems a little high on short rest. The Patriots actually have been getting healthier as the year has been going on. I think there's a little bit of value in this line at the 4.5. It depends on if you're disgusting enough to actually take that number at the 4.5, right? That's one where I feel it's going to be ugly. You gotta if you do take New England, you close your eyes and you take them, but you could definitely cover that spot. I know a lot of people are high on the Rams, but realistically, I think yard per yard or point for point, I think the Rams are like fourth worst in terms of getting outscored in the NFL, or just in terms of like overall stats wise in actual game. I have to double check those stats for you, but the numbers don't appear as good as people think the Rams are, right? But then again, you got to put some weight into that with Cooper Kupp not being able to play and Puka Nacua not playing all season. So I think that this is I don't know. I think this is a big spot that the Rams need to prove that they're going to make a run or they're going to go to New England and lay an egg. It's as simple as that. Matthew Stafford is also coming off of a couple games here where he's throwing, I believe, or not a couple. He's going into this game coming off of games where he's thrown, I think, 5, 6 games in a row. He's throwing interceptions. So I think New England's defense is playing better. They held Chicago pretty low last week. That's not saying much, just because obviously we all know Chicago fired the offensive coordinator. So what does that say about that offense, right? But I don't know. I think there could be a little bit of value on New England at the plus 4.5. The Like I said, it's going to be one of those like, hey, let me close my eyes and possibly take it type of game, right? Next game we're going to go to here is Steelers and Ravens. Traditionally, there's Ravens -3. Traditionally, Tomlin gets his guys up to play the Ravens. He has a phenomenal record against the spread against Lamar Jackson. I just think overall wins and losses, he has a phenomenal record against Lamar Jackson. Excuse me while I take a sip of water here. But there's a different Ravens team, right? Different Ravens offensive coordinator. Uh, just definitely believe that the Ravens have been playing a lot better. Lamar's statistics this year, in terms of his MVP race compared to his MVP, his last MVP that he actually got, his numbers are shattering that this year. Compared to the year, he's on pace to completely shatter his numbers. He's already doing a lot better than them compared to the year that he did win the MVP. Uh, so it's a tough spot, but the Steelers defense is good. I've been telling my guys in the VIP channel, the Steelers defense is no joke. And you put them in Pittsburgh, man, that's where they're waving those terrible towels around. I think -3 with the Ravens might be kind of high. Maybe it could be 2.5, but at the same time, the Ravens can score, man. You're coming two good teams here. I think Pittsburgh went into Washington last week and they did their job and they came back from a 10-point deficit. So they're showing they can score points as well this year. They're not the old school Steelers that just play defense, right? I think they got a little bit better offense now. And the Ravens definitely have better offense, but their defense lacks in the pass game. So I think three's about right. Usually I'd be super siding with the Steelers at the +3, but unless I find a little more value, I got to see if I can pull something on that or the trigger on that. Next game we're going to go to is the Raiders and the Dolphins. So you have the Dolphins who just came off of this Monday night win. You have the Raiders who are just, I don't know, Antonio Pierce just likes to keep games close apparently, but he's expected to win. He just doesn't do it. I don't know why. The line is Dolphins -7. To me, you're putting that line at Dolphins -7. Raiders are coming off of a bye week. I think I think the Dolphins are actually playing their best football up to this moment. They came into the Rams' house last week and they beat them. Before that, they almost beat the Bills. It took Arizona, the Cardinals, a week before that, who was a really, really good team, actually. Don't sleep on the Cardinals. They came back and actually beat Miami when Miami had control for most of that game. They ended up beating Miami by one. So I just think as weeks are going by, Tua's getting a little more comfortable. The run game's getting going a little bit better. Obviously, they got some weapons on the receiver. I don't think much about Tua, man. I don't trust the guy really. if you're going to put the game on the line with him. But I do think with the scheme that they have against a team like the Raiders, and they're playing in Miami, I think that this could be a good spot for the Dolphins with the 7. But at the same time, like I said, that could be a lot of points because the Raiders do have a bye week, and that's why this is called gambling. This is why the NFL is so great. Anything can happen any single week, right? But if you ask me, I think the Dolphins are starting to play their best football as of now, and you might see that week after week. I think it's a little too late for them in terms of playoffs, but you never know, man, with all these wild cards that people have right now, or that the league has right now. So let's go to this next game, man. I'm looking at it like next game is the Detroit Lions laying 13.5 against Mac Jones and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Man, anytime you see the Lions, it's like you're sitting there and they're ready to put their foot on your throat any single game. I think the Lions are really good, a really good football team. I think the Lions have a good run game, good pass game. They even overcame 5 interceptions by Jared Goff, whom I still think should be talked about as MVP. I think Lamar's starting to separate himself because of that game that Goff had. But it's tough, man. 13.5 points. The line is about right. I think it's inflated, but is any Lions line really inflated? Let's be real. I can't really say that because, like I said, Dan Campbell is going to sit there and put his pedal to the metal against you. He does not care. Really just does not care. He's going to try to do anything he can to get you out of whack and pretty much just beat you up mentally and physically and make sure that you never want to play the Lions again. Therefore, that line being 13.5 is, yes, it's a lot of points, but then again, yes, it's Mac Jones, but then again, it's like, do the Jaguars have anything in the tank to kind of give this a run to make this a contest? Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, it's the NFL. Definitely can't touch that one. I feel like it's too high. Can't and won't touch it. But definitely that game is a stay away game for me. Too many points, if anything. I think the odds makers want you to maybe consider laying the Jaguars. In my opinion, they can't put that number high enough to really keep people away from it. That's just my thoughts on it. But let's go to this next game because obviously big, huge lines like that, unless I like the dog or find some value. I don't see there any value in playing the Jaguars because of the shit show that they've been through. And then when it comes to the Lions, it's they're a good team, man. They are a good team. I can see them playing in February. Let's just put it like that. So next game, we're going to go to the Vikings and Titans. So there's been a plethora of sharp money coming on the Titans, and I actually saw that line initially and thought, oh, that's a decent amount of points, right? Here's the little hesitation that I had with it. I'll let you guys know, and I'll kind of let you guys in on my thoughts with it. The Vikings defense blitzes a lot. Brian Flores has that Vikings defense playing at a high level. You've seen what they did on prime time to Joe Flacco and the Colts. Not to say that they have a great offense, but even last week against the Jaguars, they got that one touchdown. They really couldn't do much after. I think the Vikings defense settles in after some drives, and it's going to be Will Levis. I mean, do you really want Will Levis against a defense like that can pick you off anytime or make you make mistakes? That's scary. Yes, do I think that the league is starting to figure out a little more of what the Vikings are doing on offense, especially Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has been playing better for sure this year. I got to give him his credit where it's due. But they have some tape on him, more tape in this offense, and they've been figuring out certain things that they could do to kind of slow them down now and slow him down. Sam Darnold, who started off pretty great. Yeah, the I can't see this game to me like the over under 39.5. Man, I would trend under, but then you're worried about those pick sixes by Levis or even Darnold. Anybody can throw pick sixes in that game, in my opinion. But yeah, -6. I actually was looking at a tasty number on a buy at Tennessee, but I don't know if I can do it. A lot of people are out there saying that the Titans have a really good defense. By the numbers, they're mediocre, especially DVOA wise. So I don't know if I can respect that number enough to really feel comfortable laying on it. I'm gonna have to check some injuries and see everything, but The number one question you're going to have to ask yourself in that game, if you are going to want to lay the Titans, is am I okay with Will Levis against the defense that's going to come at me and come at me aggressive and a good defensive coordinator? If you are and you're going to be okay with the stupidities that he might do in the game, then fuck it, by all means. But if you're not, then maybe stay away. I mean, you also have to ask yourself if you're on the other side of that, right? There's an argument for both sides. If I'm on the Vikings, they have more tape on Darnold, and this is on the road when they kind of escaped Jacksonville last week. Am I going to be comfortable laying almost a touchdown there? I don't know, man. It's tough. It's a tough one, right? That's where you have to ask yourself that question and kind of be okay if you're going to go one way or another with it. Even Vikings money line to me is scary there because any team can lose on the road. But let's go to this next game, which is give me one second, guys. I'm gonna drink a little more water since I'm doing the pod by myself. I'm doing a lot more talking today. So we got the New York Jets, Indianapolis Colts, and they're gonna be in New York. The Jets are a dumpster fire, man. Aaron Rodgers pretty much came back just to say hi to everybody and looking like he's going to say bye pretty quick this year, but I can't see them extending their season into the postseason, even with the expanded playoff. I don't know. They don't look like they're meshing on offense. The defense looks worse now that Salah is gone because Salah was really controlling that defense. Now I can't even say that they have an amazing defense because it's mediocre, I guess, right? Indianapolis, they're going to bring it on defense, but can they score on offense? That's your question. And I guess with the Jets having a decent defense, you have to ask yourself that with laying the four. Um, the value to me in this game, the value wise, this is me strictly talking values. Not saying I'm gonna play it. Is on the Colts. Um, can you really take the Colts? I don't know. I think that the Colts gave the Vikings a hell of a fucking game a couple weeks back on prime time, and the Vikings have a much better defense than the Jets, in my opinion. In terms of the scheme, in terms of the players. Now, will the Colts be able to manufacture enough points? And can the Colts get enough stops? I do think the Colts can get stops because they have a good defense, but is their defense that elite? You never know. I mean, the Jets at home, they did beat the Texans a couple weeks back, so maybe they'll play better at home. Uh, don't know, man. Definitely value is on the Colts in my opinion, but can you really lay it against the Jets? So that's what you have to ask yourself there. But let's go to my next game, which is, I mean, not my next game, the next game of the NFL schedule, which is the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco's my team, so obviously I'm going to say my next game, right? Division game here, guys. They're laying 6.5 points. They got McCaffrey back. There's The offense seems to be a little bit more gelled together now that it's we're going on week 11. I do think that the Niners will start to make their caliber of a run. I think that the Niners defense is better this year than it was last year when they went to the Super Bowl. I don't think the Niners offense is quite as good as it was last year, especially with the injuries and to Brandon Ayuk. They're going to need Ricky Purcell, the guy they drafted, to really come up and play an Ayuk type role in this offense. But they also have Juwan Jennings. They can fill that void, right? It just hasn't been there offensively. And the Seahawks have been giving up a lot of points for having McDonald as their head coach, their new head coach, and the offensive coordinator. The defensive coordinator, defensive-minded head coach. You give up a lot of points, man. But in a division game, they've already played him one time. Maybe he'll make some adjustments. I know that I can give you one prop on this game. Okay, I'll give you one prop that I'll probably take a shot at. A little small like a pizza money quarter unit prop. Uh, Geno Smith to throw an interception. Yes, I do think he'll have one interception. Reason being, the Niners always have this guy throw interceptions, man. I'm a Niner fan. I watch these games pretty religiously, and there's very often these are those picks, and he's coming off of that fucking game where he threw three picks against the Rams when they should have won that game. It's like they lost that game three times, and it was on Geno. They're not going to be able to run on the Niners because the Niners have a really good defense overall. I mean, they could. Walker could get some yards because I think this year the Niners' strength is their secondary per DVOA, which usually was always the other way around. The Niners always had a strong um, run defense, and then the secondary was a little weak. Now it's flip flop. Now we got the run. The secondary better than the run. Geno Smith over one interception or more. I think that's good. I mean, hell, you can even do a little crazy odds one at over 1.5 interceptions. Geno Smith, he'll pay you fucking good odds on that, right? But I do think that in terms of the line, um, I think that in terms of the line, I think the line is right, and I wouldn't doubt it if Seattle gave us a little run for our money this weekend. Just history past. I think that Seattle just had some misfortunes that happened against the Rams. They should have won that game a couple weeks back. I was on that game, and that game was treacherous. It was like fucking a. Just felt like I said, it felt like Seattle lost it 3 times. They had the game, then they lost it. Had the game, then they lost it. Had the game, then they lost it. It is what it is, though, right? But I think they're going to come in well prepared after a week off and give the Niners a run for their money. And it's all going to depend on how the Niners are going to gel back at home with McCaffrey back in the offense. I know the defense will show up, but the line is about right. Tough to touch. Can't really fucking trust Geno and take those 6.5. But then again, like, can you really lay the 6.5 with the Niners right now? I'm gonna play a sit and wait on it, and then maybe dig in for some value in week 12 with this one with these teams. So this is definitely because of the division game, a sit and wait game. Next game we got going. We got the Denver Broncos and Atlanta Falcons. Denver -2. Denver's coming off of a blocked field goal last game where they should have beat KC. Falcons are coming off of a huge letdown against the Saints where they just lost that game. Excuse me 1 second here. I think this game's going to be a good game. The Broncos have good defense. If they can get to Cousins, they should win the game. Uh, it's going to depend on how good how their offense will be moving the ball. But in Mile High Denver, man, it's tough to play. So this game will be a good game. I think that there's value on Denver anything under a field goal. If it gets to a field goal, I don't think there's any value. I think that there's value under a field goal. But like I said, it's going to depend on if this defense who of Denver, who's been playing really well, by the way, they've been playing exceptional, and they rank pretty high in DVOA, if they're going to be able to do it and stop these guys. That will remain to be seen. But I think the values on Denver under the 3. I'll have to check some reports on everything else in terms of the injuries or anything else that's going on in that game. But to my next game, excuse me, highly touted game. This is actually my buddy T's game. And this is what he already took, and he's going to slam more on it, he said. And this is fucking dangerous. Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills. This is a game that he selected. He has already taken the Buffalo Bills up to -2. Um, he likes the Bills. His case on it is they've seen the Chiefs often. Mahomes is not the same. It is not the same in this offense as he has been. They have some big injuries that they'll clean up. It's the Chiefs. They're 9-0. It's the Chiefs. They're going to clean them up as the year's going to keep progressing. But he does not believe that this is a game. The Bills are motivated. This game, he said. Here, let me check the quick write up that he gave me real quick for you guys, so I can just check that out. So he pretty much said the Bills are motivated this game. Josh Allen wants to prove that he can win this game. He has more on it to prove than the Chiefs do. And McDermott also has a lot to prove in this game. The Bills have been doing their job and really covering games even when they're not supposed to cover them. They do have those 2 bad losses. On the contrary, what I told him is like, hey, they have those losses against a real beatdown against the Ravens, where I had the Ravens personally. And then they lost to the Texans, where I had the Texans. But everybody they're supposed to beat, they beat. Now here's a contender, Kansas City. But T said, this is a game for Josh Allen. It means more to the Bills and Josh Allen than it means to Mahomes and the Chiefs. The last thing the Chiefs want is an undefeated season. This is what he said. The last thing they want, he's not saying they're going to throw the game away. They probably wouldn't want to do it this game, because I think the Chiefs are motivated, and so is Andy Reid this game. But he said the last thing the Chiefs really want is to go into trying to go for the first three-peat ever in the NFL of the Super Bowl while having an undefeated record. And I kind of agree with them. And he said that if there's any game that they could probably get whacked around a little bit, it'll be here in Buffalo, a tough environment to play in. That's what he said. He likes the Bills at the -2. He's taking the Bills. For me personally, I think the line is fucking right. this game. Grab your popcorn. It should be a dandy, man. Romo's going to be calling it. I actually love hearing Tony Romo on the broadcast. So should be a good one. Should be a good one. But that's his play right there for you. Um, Next game, we're gonna hop on over to the next game. We got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers lane one. Man, I think both of these teams. I think Cincinnati wins games when they need to. Is a game Cincinnati's going to need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. The Chargers, to me though, are gelling perfect. This is a tough game. To say that there's any value, I don't know. You just got to go with what team do I think is going to win at this point. And the Chargers are very defensive minded, or they're going to be able to stop Jamar Chase. You got to remember the Ravens have a bad secondary, so they weren't able to really stop him. Um, but the Chargers have a way better secondary than the Ravens do in terms of defense. And Harbaugh lives off defense. Now, the Bengals offense is great. So I'm sure Burrow and company can, stir up some drives there for sure. Now you're gonna have to ask yourself if the Chargers can actually score on the Bengals. And the Bengals defense has definitely not been what it's been in other years with Lou Anarumo there at the helm. But I do think that little by little they're fixing it. I mean, they bottled up the Ravens for about 3.5 or 3 quarters last week or 10 days ago. 10 days ago that Sunday, and they just couldn't keep it up, right? Was that the Lamar factor? Or was that the Bengals just showing their true colors and the Ravens figured something out? So to me, this you're gonna get a healthy Herbert, you're gonna get a healthy San Diego team. Sorry, Los Angeles team. I don't know why I keep saying San Diego with those guys. Against a Cincinnati Bengal team who is healthy, and I think both these teams are playing with motivation this game. Both these teams are good. It's going to come down to the Chargers defense against the Bengals offense, in my opinion, because I know the Chargers will score some points. So should be a dandy on Sunday Night Football, man. We'll go there. Last game, Houston Texans, Dallas Cowboys. Houston lane seven. To me, I don't know. I mean, anything seven or under, I think there's value on the Texans. I know a lot of pros would like to say, oh, the Cowboys, and that's too many points, but I just don't think the Cowboys are there, man. I could be wrong. Obviously, not that I can't be wrong. I know I'm not wrong in terms of they're not there. They're not going to be good. They're not going to the playoffs. But have they mailed it in? Have they shipped it in? Like, hey, I'm done. Season's done. Has Michael Parsons was already talking about McCarthy last week, and no matter what they cover up, Jerry Jones can cover it up. I don't know. I think the Texans really need this game more than the Cowboys in terms of their future because they just got unhealthy in a certain part of time in the middle of the season with some DBs, with the linebacker, with Nico Collins. Now Diggs got hurt a week ago, but I think they're going to start getting healthier as the year progresses. So they really need this game. To me, -7, and they're both going to be, I mean, in the state of Texas. So you're going to get fans, I believe, for both teams at this game. It's not going to be predominantly Cowboy fans. So therefore, the line being 7, I think 7 or under, I think Houston has an advantage because of their defense. And I do think that they'll be able to muster up a lot more points against this Cowboys defense. But we got to see. We don't know if Cooper Rush is going to make a statement here, right? I highly doubt it. I think the year that Cooper Rush actually came in and did well, the Cowboys had a really good defense with Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn is now coaching the Commanders. Dan Quinn is a really good defensive coordinator, and he's now proving to be a good head coach, just like he was with the Atlanta Falcons when he took them to the Super Bowl in the famous blowing lead of the 28-3 that they had against the Patriots when the Patriots came back down 28-3. But Houston Texans 7 or under, I feel like there's some value there. I don't. If I like a favorite or if I think there's value in a favorite, there's fucking great meaning behind that. But that's gonna do it for the pod this week, guys. Once again, T's pick. What he already has some on. He's probably laying more on is the Buffalo Bills at the -2. Um, I gave you guys a player prop on Geno Smith over a half an interception, pretty much to throw an interception. And then if you guys like the Chubbs one, because I think he will be running kind of wild on the Saints this weekend. We'll see how that one goes. But we'll get back at it next week, man. Hopefully, T, we hope you feel better and you get a little better for next week because we're going to need you back here. Anybody who is considered a package before, you can look me up at cjwins.com, cjwins.com, or if you want to ask me any questions, you can message me on IG at cjwins, cjwins, and Telegram channel CJ Wins Sports. You can even message me there. Same thing, CJ Wins. So hope you guys have a good, profitable weekend, and enjoy football, man, because we're already on week 11. Kind of sad, but let's get it.